Hey guys, welcome back to Hanging with HF. I'm Dub.
And I'm Z.
And we have our special guest with us. Introduce yourself.
Introduce
Who am
yourself.
I? Dee.
Yeah, this is Dee Dee.
Introduce yourself.
Uncle James.
And Uncle James. If y'all don't know who these people are, well, I'm sure all of y'all know who Dee Dee is. He's in all of our fishing videos, pretty much.
Uncle James is normally always there. He just sits behind the camera.
But we're gonna be asking y'all a few questions about hunting and fishing. Because, I mean, y'all are professionals, right?
Yeah, that's basically what y'all are, professionals.
I reckon.
So, yeah, we got a bunch of questions for y'all today.
All right.
Are y'all ready to answer?
You ready to answer some questions?
Let's have it.
Would you like to start off with
Oh, and we have Frankie today. All right. So, when did you start hunting?
When did I start hunting? Well, as long as I can remember. I killed my first turkey when I was 12. And my first deer, I killed 2 deer when I was 13. So that's when I started, I guess.
Can you give us a little story time about how you killed your first 2 deer?
Yeah, well, my first deer, let's see, I was with my uncle and my daddy, and we was deer hunting, and we stopped to look at a track, and we heard some dogs coming. We was in a dog running area, so we just got it out right quick, and here come 2 bucks. So I shot this 5-point
Hey, that was what my first deer was.
with a shotgun, and he just kept on going. My uncle shot him and he fell. So I said, well, you got him. And we went up, looked at him, he put his tag on him,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy that owned the dogs come up and he looked at that deer and he said, who killed this deer? My uncle said, I did. He said, what'd you shoot him with? He said, this high-powered rifle. He said, anybody shoot him with a shotgun? I said, yeah, I did. He said, you killed a deer. That's the 1 buck shot it.
What about you, Uncle James? Do you remember when you started hunting and when you killed your first deer?
Yeah, I've been hunting longer than I can remember since I was born, but I killed my first deer. That big 7-point that's mounted right back there. We were hunting between the creeks, and my cousin found his tracks, a 30-06 buck. It was as long as a 30-06 shell. And we put on him and run him all over the world, and everybody shot at him. And I had at least strep throat, if not pneumonia. And it was raining. And Nanny wouldn't let me out the truck. And the deer come up to us, and Dee Dee shot him and knocked him down, hair everywhere. We run out there and put the dog back on, and I went anyhow. Went down in the swamp, and the dog was baying him. And I shot him. And when I shot, it was, raining, and it was cold, so it was almost like black powder. It made smoke. And I shot and looked to see if I hit him, and looked, and he was right there, big old white horns coming at me. And I turned around and run, and Dee Dee shot him from the hip and kept him from getting us. And that was my first one.
Can't say I've had any stories like that.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I've had too many crazy.
I was gonna say, do you even remember, the story of you shooting your first buck?
I can't even say I remember I remember doing it. I was here. I was with Dee Dee. I was 5 or 6. I don't remember, and I blacked out. Never happened. I just blacked out when it happened, and I just remember bringing him back to the shop, and that was that. What about your first deer?
I don't remember it. I have terrible memory. I have no recollection of it at all. I'm honestly surprised y'all can remember that.
I was 9 when I killed that one.
That's what y'all went into some good details for y'all's story.
I don't remember that. So tell us about the story about the white doe.
Okay. I was hunting with my friend Andy, and we was at the river. He had a lease at the river. And it was on a Friday evening, and we ease along about 100 yards, looking real good, sat down on a log, wait a little while, and then go a little further. And I heard something behind me. I turned around, and it was a white doe just across the slough from me, come walking by. Well, it wasn't doe day, but it was be doe day the next day, which was Saturday. So The next morning we went, and my other friend Andy, my cousin Andy, was with me. And when we got out of the truck, I said, now, I seen a white doe here yesterday, and she's solid white. Let's see if we can find her. So we're walking down the road, and in the river swamp, you can be walking, you won't see nothing, and all of a sudden there's hogs everywhere. They like come out behind the trees. So he kept stopping and looking, and where I was at, I couldn't see anything. And we go a little bit further, and he'd stop and look real funny. And finally, we kept walking. I come out behind a tree, and there's a white deer standing there. And I throwed up to shoot it, and this wasn't a doe. It was a big old 8-point. And as soon as he seen me, which he was standing there looking at us the whole time, but Andy didn't realize what it was. And he took off running and got behind the trees. We never got a shot at him. And I said, what was you looking at? He said, I thought it was a white tailgate on somebody's truck. I said, we're here at daylight. Nobody's been in here since us. I told you to look for a white deer. And it was better than a doe. It was a big old bug. But it got away, and we never seen the white doe. But where we was walking, this little road, this teardrop-shaped road, makes a circle. And before we got back to walk the circle, not over 30 acres inside the circle, before we got back to the truck, we seen 103 hogs and 35 deer, and one of them was a big white buck, and we killed 2 hogs. But we didn't kill a white deer.
I really want to kill some type of like exotic deer.
Like I just want to kill like an exotic animal.
No,
I feel like I want to go. Like I see all these African hunts. People go to like Africa, but they can't eat the meat apparently.
Yeah, you just get like the mount
because their bodies aren't used to that, like the stuff they eat and everything, because it's so vastly different. That'd be cool to have like a zebra on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
So Dee Dee, tell us a little bit about you trapping alligators.
You don't trap him, he kills them.
Well, he had to get them somehow. How'd you trap him? How'd you get him to kill him?
Yeah, do you remember what's like the craziest thing that has happened throughout your critter control career? Your nuisance.
Myself, I've done it for a lot of years. First off, when I was in school, me and my dad, alligator season was open, and we hunted alligators for a living, to help our living, and sold the hides. And then later on, me and James got to be nuisance alligator trappers for the state for several years. One day we were hunting, and we found an 8-foot gator living under, he had a cave up under the road he had dug, in this big ditch, probably almost shoulder high deep. So me, I've never been scared of an alligator. We had this long wooden pole, cypress pole we cut with a big iron hook on it. So I get in the water, and I'm jugging up in that cave trying to get that gator. And James is standing up on the bank with a gun. So all of a sudden I felt that gator coming up the pole, making the pole shake. I told James he's coming out. And about that time, he come out right between my legs. I felt his big old feet on this leg, and I felt one on that leg.
I would have freaked.
I said, it's going between my legs. And reckon he stuck his head up right behind me, and he shot him and killed him. His tail was still between my legs.
Oh my God. I don't know what because it's like you can't freak out because then it's gonna know you're freaking out, and so you just gotta like.
I know. I feel like it'd eat me. Well, I feel like it'd eat me regardless.
Yes, I was telling a friend of mine about it, or me and James was, and we were telling about it. He said, "And you still buy boots for them sorry feet? I wouldn't put no boots on my feet if they wouldn't have run when I did it."
Yeah, really. I don't know how you.
That's insane.
What's the biggest gator that you've dealt with?
Well, we took Travis Tripp on a hunt, and we was down there, and we shot this big old gator he did, and wounded him, and he was coming up the lake, and see his bubbles where he was coming, and there was an old dock up the lake there a little ways, and it was rotten. And James walked out on the dock to get ahead of the gator, and another guy walked out, and he told everybody, "Now don't be careful, this dock's rotten. We can't all get on it." And by the time the gator got there, James looked around, and here come 2 guys in the air jumping on that dock. Well, when they hit, the dock went right in on top of the 13-foot gator, and him crippled. And they all went right in on it, right in on top of the gator. And James was over there. I said, be still. He said, I can't, I'm swimming.
It was over my head, real deep. And the bubbles from the gator were coming up, tickling my legs. I was like Johnny, I couldn't not move my feet, but I had to tread water to keep from sinking on top of it.
Anyhow, he grabbed the cable that was hanging down off of the pipe there and shined it up out of the water. And a friend of ours, James, was there. And James said, well, he said, I was sitting there. He said, I was just thinking, if he comes up right here, I'm going to spit this tobacco in his eye. But the gator turned around, went back, and we went down there and got ahead of him and finished him off.
He was 13'8".
That is, I can't even fathom how big, massive that is. I don't know how you aren't scared of an alligator.
No, me and Dee Dee did a big one. Yeah.
When?
Can I get some credit? By the way?
Give us a story on that one.
Well, he can tell you. We was down on Tyndall Air Force Base.
I done about forgot that one.
Oh, come on.
James probably remembered it.
The 11-foot one we caught
Yeah.
by the
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah.
And that little lake down behind the
Yeah.
officers club.
Yeah.
I don't. That is you see all these alligators death rolling and all these other animals. No, thank you. And they're fast. If it's on land, it's fine. But if it's in the water, no.
I've just never been afraid of an alligator all my life.
You've never been bit by an alligator?
And never got bit.
His dad
did.
Have you ever been bit, Uncle James?
When we first started, before we were nuisance trapper, they have a program in Florida. It's a private wetlands. And a guy that we met from down South Florida, he got the private wetlands up here, and somebody told him to call us. So he called us, and we trapped for him. Well, he had a gator farm, and he sold 11 gators to a place out on the beach to, put on a gator feeding show. So he drives up here, and he calls and tells us, can we help him? Yep, we'll help you. So when he pulls up in the yard, he just made him a box. It wasn't a box. He just took these door panels and put ratchet straps and had it together. Well, when he pulls up, the top's gone off the box. And I thought, oh no. And I jump up and look. I said, how many gators you brought? He said, 11. I said, there ain't but 5 in here.
Oh my
And he come from Stark, Florida, and we can just see them spattered on I-10. So I jump in the truck and take off. First day, I'm gator hunting, officially. Get around the corner, there's a gator going down the road. 6 foot, all 6.5 foot gators. And they're farm raised, so they're not over 2 years old, but they grow so fast, and I didn't realize this, their teeth are sticking out of their mouth like a crocodile instead of like a gator. So they're taped up, but I grab the first one and go to put him in the truck, and he rolls over, does a death roll, and it stuck in my finger and snatched the end of my finger off, or just the hide off of it, split it wide open. So I'm driving to the next one, pouring blood in the floorboard, and I found all the other gators, got them all caught, and it's too hot, middle of August. I come back home, run in the house, because I'm about to pass out, I'm too hot. I come in, I'm pouring blood, and I lay down on the vent in the floor, and Tammy says, you're not going gator hunting. First day, and you're already going gator hunting. But I didn't get bit, when he rolled, his tooth stuck in me.
Why are their teeth not in there? Why are their teeth not?
They grow too fast. They keep them in a hot house at 90 degrees. And where he'd be 10 or 12 years old to be 6 foot in the wild, he's 6 foot in a year and a half.
So, if they're like that and they're full grown, how big would they be?
2 years old, he'd be about this long in the wild.
In the wild.
So,
because he gets cold every winter and that stunts their growth.
Yeah.
But being in a hot house year round.
So it keeps them hot. So
and
they
their
grow
metabolism,
constantly.
so they're eating all the time.
So they're constantly.
Yeah.
So if that gator were to be 5 or 6 years old, how much bigger would it have been, or is it kind of like?
That's what I asked him, because I wanted to know. I said, if I had the farm and I had 500 gators and one of them was 7 foot and the rest of them were 6 foot, I'd have to put him aside and see how long it'd take to get him to 14 foot. But he said they always just 6 foot's usually they'll keep them 2 years and they process them, butcher them.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how much he would grow. I would think exponentially right on until he was a monster. Like I said, if I had one, I'd have to put Wally off to the side and pour the feed to him and see how big he get. I don't know if anybody's ever done
See,
that.
that's crazy.
Now
how,
my dad got bit by one gator hunting. Him and my brother-in-law was hunting that day, and they found this covered pipe with a muddy hole at the end, so they knew it was a gator. Had it muddied, so he got down there, and he had a hammer, a ball-peen hammer. So he kneeled down, and he got grunts, and the gator sticks his head up, and he hits him in the back of the head with that ball-peen hammer. And the gator just goes down, you know, he's dead. So he reaches in that muddy water down there to get him. And what did he do? Stuck his hand right on his tongue, and him with his mouth open. Of course, what did the gator do? He was knocked out, but reflexes, he shut his his mouth on my dad's hand. And my brother-in-law said, "You got him?" He said, "Yeah, I think you're going to come help me turn him loose." So he got him out and pulled him up. And he told my brother-in-law, said, "Hit him with that hammer hard again, right in the back of the head." So he did, and he just opened his mouth. But he busted his knuckles and busted his hand up pretty good.
He didn't just like,
But
he didn't
if he'd
eat
have
his
rolled
hand
like that death roll,
Yeah.
like he should have done, he'd have tore his hand off or his arm. And there wouldn't be nothing you could do about it.
That is crazy. I don't know how y'all do this. I don't either.
Another time, Papa went off by himself, and he was down there at Chipola River, and he went up a slough and found a real muddy place, and knew there was a gator there. So he gets over and looks, and there's a bunch of little gators swimming around. So he wades out there with his pole probing around, trying to find it. Well, about that time, she come up right there and tried to get him, and the only thing that kept from getting him, he had that pole, and he just stuck it in her mouth, and she run up to his hand, run it down her throat, and was trying to bite him and couldn't. Knocked him down. Him by himself, the gun's up there on the hill. So he feels around behind him and finds a limb, and it's a piece of log about 4 foot long. He just come hard as he could. He hit her on the head and it killed her. But she would have got him if he hadn't have. She jumped up to get him, and he stuck the pole in her mouth.
Are female gators bigger than male gators?
No, females are smaller, but she was protective of her young gators.
Yeah.
The babies there.
See, usually I feel like, usually I feel like female animals are bigger than male animals.
Like
Yeah.
an eagle is bigger, a female eagle is bigger, but supposedly
I thought that's like how mammals were, but
the
maybe
state
it's not.
record
I don't know.
for a female alligator is 9'3". I killed 2 9'4" and a 10'4" female alligator, but I didn't know they was a state record, so I didn't register them at the time.
Like, you could have been a.
Oh, the 10'4"
Guinness
was a
World
giant
Record.
one. I mean, we thought it was a male till we got it to the process, and we looked at it and said, "Surely that's not a female," and it was, and she was 10'4".
Really?
That is insane. I'm trying to think.
Well, actually, I had a question about deer. Going back to deer hunting.
Oh, okay.
We're going to stray away from the alligators for a second, but we're going to go back to deer hunting. So, but this is for both of y'all. Do y'all prefer like to still hunt or to run dogs?
What would you prefer to do?
I like to dog hunt better, because to me, still hunting, you're sitting there looking around,
Just waiting, nothing else
Yeah.
to do.
nothing's exciting. There he is, bang! Now I got to clean it. But when you're dog hunting, you find a track. Yeah, it's a buck track. You put on it, you trail it. You finally get it jumped, and the dogs are coming, and they're all barking every breath, and your heart's beating because he's going to come any minute.
You don't know where it's
And you don't know if it's a big old buck or if it's a doe. Until it pops out, you're excited. It's exciting the whole time. And then if it's a buck and you miss him, then all your buddies is laughing at you. And then when they miss him, you're laughing at them. And it's just the camaraderie of it. And the excitement is way higher.
Yeah. I think that's the reason I don't care to go hunting, because I get so bored.
Yeah.
Like, I get so bored so fast. So just sitting in a stand is not
Yeah, that's
fun
the
to
way.
me.
Yeah, still hunting is boring. Dog hunting is not. It's never boring. There's always something.
This year was the first year that I went and ran dogs, and I would choose to do that over still hunt.
Especially when you
Any day.
get a big one jumped and your buddy down the road shoots at him. This got big white raccoon. He's coming right to you. Oh. You think you're going to miss him. You're not going to see him.
I know, because...
You get to shoot all your shells and drive fast and talk on the radio.
Yeah, I know, pretty much. If y'all don't know, Dee Dee is a big wade fisher. So I want to hear some of your crazy stories about some of your sharks and everything that you
Yeah, because we know the sharks
we
are
know the
grabbing
sharks
you.
love you out there.
Well, everybody's afraid I'm gonna get bit by a shark because I go way.
Because you do get bit by sharks.
And so I have a sack that I put my fish in, and I tie it to my belt, and the fish is sack full of fish hanging off my belt.
Okay.
And I'm fishing, and them fish stick him in the back of the leg, I thought. And I was fishing, and it stuck me again, and I looked down. It wasn't my fish. It was a 4-foot shark chewing on the back of my calf. But he hadn't went through my britches. I could just feel his teeth every now and then through my.
Because Dee Dee also, he doesn't wear waders or anything. He would wear this
just
wade
out there in
fishing.
his-
He just goes out there in his normal clothes.
He just
Yeah.
Out there fishing, and I'm like, you are
hangs out waist deep in the
insane.
water with this bag of fish tied to his leg. Like,
Yeah, you're like walking bait.
And James,
Literally.
Now James used to go with me.
Yep, used to do
So
it
he had
all
an
the time.
incident. He can tell you
Yeah,
about that incident.
me and Andy, again, the one that can't see a white deer, were waded out, and we were not over knee deep. We're about 100 yards from the shore, and about that time, just a terrible sloshing commotion behind us, and we turn around and look between us and the hill, and there's a 10-foot bull shark in the air, everything in the air but his tail, catching a 4-foot wide spotted eagle ray in the air. And he gets him and he just goes to biting, and it's just frothy, bloody water for 100 yards wide. And I look at Andy and I said, yeah, now what are we going to do? Because he's between us and the hill, and I don't see how his back wasn't out of the water, but we didn't know where he went. So we went way down and come back to the hill, and I ain't been back.
I don't think I could go
Not
back.
wade
If I
fishing.
saw that happen, there's no way. I'm so scared because it's.
I don't go above, like my waist.
And another time where y'all been going, I was out there by myself, right at dark.
Oh Lord.
You know, you wade around the hole where y'all fish toward the little island.
Yeah.
Well, right before you get to the little island, there's a little pass that a channel that the boats go
Yeah.
through. Well, it was about 20 foot wide there, and I had a bunch of fish on my stringer. So, always on the south side of that, it's a little deeper than it used to be. It was better fishing. So, I'm wade up to that, so I just start swimming across it. And about the time I get halfway across it, something goes to pulling me backwards. And I look, and there's a big old giant boil, and a big shark has got my fish. Luckily, my stringer was about 10 foot long. And it's chewing on it. I said, well, only one thing to do. And I just snatch it out of his mouth and keep swimming. When I get out on the shallow water and stand up, a boat comes by. And that fella said, man, I wouldn't be waiting. I hung a 300-pound shark here the other day. And I said, yeah, what do you think just had in my fish? Get in the boat, get in the boat. I said, no, I'm all right. But I waited way down by the island where it's shallow, where to go back to
I
the
stay
truck.
right, and when I go out, I stay right across the shoreline. I'm not getting no deeper.
I've had them little ones come up there and get my fish and just whop him with the rod, you know.
Yeah, that's what I generally do. Just slap him.
Small,
That's,
that's
what I done with that one chewing on my leg. Slapped him with a rod, and he took off.
It's just I don't like because you can't see because that water is like brown.
Yeah, it's
you
not
can't see your
clear
feet.
water.
Now,
And
there's a-
whenever me and Dub went bow fishing at night with the lights, and you can see everything that is under the water.
It makes you really contemplate wanting to
insane.
be in that water.
Because ever since going bow fishing, stingrays really don't scare me anymore.
Yeah,
like they
stingrays
used
don't
to freak me out, but now like I've been
Stingrays
around
don't.
them, like they don't scare me. But the most popular spot that everybody goes, there was a gator swimming around. I've never seen a gator out there. Like by
the
the
salt
island.
water in the bay, there's gators, and it's just like they're everywhere.
He was just swimming along underwater with his hands by his side.
But they can't. They can only live so many hours in the salt water.
Yeah. Usually in the bay it's a little brackish and that don't bother them, but they'll get
Yeah.
sick if they go in the Gulf and stay too long.
Because
Yeah.
it was up by the island, right there.
Yeah.
So I was like,
One day I was out there by myself, right there where we put the boat in, just on the right side of the landing there at that little point where we stand there and fish. I was standing there about knee deep in the water fishing. All of a sudden, 12 foot right behind me, ta-da! I just told her, man, that shark got close, and I turned around and looked, a big old head stuck up. It was a gator, 11-foot gator. He'd come up there and seen me and sloshed the water and come up right out there.
I don't know if I'd be more scared. Honestly, yeah, I'm more scared of a gator than a shark because gator can follow me on land. A shark's stuck in the water. If I get out of the water, I'm not worried about it.
Arms. The gator has arms.
Yeah, it can crawl out and chase me when I get out of the water. Do y'all have any crazy stories about bears when you guys are hunting, just riding around? Anything?
They have crazy stories about everything. Come on now.
Stupidest thing I ever done. We were burning. That's what we do for a living. And we burnt late one night. And we were on the way home, and we come around the corner, and I seen some eyes way down the road at an intersection. And I told Daddy, I said, that was a bear. He said, how you know? I said, because it was too high to be a deer, and it wasn't very much eyes. So when I get to the intersection, I shine the way I thought it went, and there's about a 200-pound bear. And I looked right in front of the truck, and bark was falling off a tree. And I looked, and there was 2 little cubs, about not even big as a coon. So I just pulled the truck right up against the tree, and they're about 6 foot high. And the mama's down the road. I opened the door and put one foot on the ground and looking at the cubs, and I got this bright idea. I was going to cry like a little bear. And I went, meow, meow. And before I could snatch my foot in and slam the door, the mama run up there and run into the door. And I'm shining the light through because all she had to do was bust the window to get me. And I looked at him, I said, I won't let her do that again. And she went up there and said something to them cubs, and they come down the tree and they went on, and I didn't say nothing else. I didn't even tell them goodbye. That's about the craziest thing.
That is...
I feel like I just saw a bear like a couple of days ago somewhere, but I don't remember where I saw it.
Because I don't think you did.
I did. I swear I saw a bear like a week ago, but I don't remember where.
One time James didn't make it to his ladder stand because he thought a bear.
Oh, yeah. I had a stand right across the creek, and we had a pretty good sized lease, and it was still hunt lease. And we had bears everywhere, so all of them were scared, and I made fun of them, told them, y'all, they're not going to mess with you. Yeah, y'all are crazy to be scared of them. So my stand's close enough to the house, I'll just walk to the stand and not make no noise. So I start to the stand. As soon as I get across the bridge, it was before daylight, but it was light enough I could see there's a big bear trap. Well, get up to where I turned to go to the road to my stand, the bear turned down that way. So I get all the way, I'm looking at the bear track. I get to where the trail goes to my stand, the bear turned that way. So I go in there and I ease up there and look, and there he is laying in the road. Oh, Lord, what am I going to do? I got nothing but my bow in my hand. Because I'd been there the day before, and there was nothing in the road. Mm-hmm. So I stand there, I put an arrow in. Well, if he tries to get me, I'm going to give him one anyhow. So I'm standing there and it gets daylight. It's a bush had blowed over in the night. And I'm holding out. I made fun of everybody, and now I'm scared of a bush in the road. But there's a big bear that just walked there.
That's the worst. Whenever you're hunting and it's like right between like being dark and being like light.
Yeah.
And you see these like shadows.
Everything looks like something.
You're over here like squinting, looking around. You're like, I can't tell if that's a deer, or if it's a tree, a bush, a bear. Yeah. Everything looks the same, and you just gotta really just wait. If you're like, I'll give it 5 minutes, and if it moves, then take a shot. You got any crazy stories about some bears?
Yeah, one day we were running a bear in the national forest, and he crossed the road, and a friend of mine shot him, just wounded him. He went on across, went down, and the dogs went to treat him. So I go in there, I ease in there in that dead tree, and I'm easing along. How am I going to get, I thought they were just baying him on the ground. How am I going to get up there and shoot that bear? And I was in the mud, over knee deep, old muddy swamp. Finally, I looked up, and the bear was in the tree. So I shoot him out, bang, he falls out, and the dogs hush. Everything gets quiet. I'm standing there, bloop, 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 coming right toward me. I said, uh-oh. And I got ready, but it was a big dog.
Oh my God.
I had killed a bear. He was laying there dead under the tree.
Yeah, the dog was like, okay, well.
The dog was coming right to me. I thought it was that bear.
I don't know what I would do. That is like, it's weird that certain, like a bear is like,
It's like a big dog.
I feel like I wouldn't be scared of a bear, but then the other day we saw a mouse and so
yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't think a bear would bother me.
literally a week ago we were screaming and running for our lives because there was a mouse. But the bear would be fine.
He's got to tell you about the one that did about get him.
Yeah, we'd put on a mama bear and two half-grown bears, and they went down there and started baying them. The dogs did. So my cousin was with me, and I said, "Come on, let's go down there. We'll go around behind them, and you go gently get behind them and hoop and holler, and maybe shoot your gun, and they'll run and go across the road, and somebody shoot it. You don't have to drag it out." Well, I go down there, and we were standing in a little open place in the swamp, thick swamp. It's about 20 foot across, little open hole in the side. We're standing there, and so I holler a few times, and I heard something coming. It come up, it was my old black and tan dog. He come out there and smelled us and went on back. Directly, I heard another dog coming. So I said, "Here comes another dog," and I looked, and it wasn't a dog. It was Big Mama Bear with her ears laid back, coming wide open.
Gosh.
I had time to bang, bang 3 times from the hip. And I hit her, and she turned and went off over and laid down. And we go up there and look, and it's real gross. She was biting her guts out where I'd shot her guts sticking out.
Oh.
And I told him to shoot her in the head and finish her. He did. He finished her off. But she was fixing to get us.
Yeah, that's.
He said, "You sorry thing. You told me they wouldn't catch you."
Yeah. But speaking of all this hunting, we're going to be at the World of Deer Expo in Birmingham, Alabama on July 12th. So y'all make sure to come see us out there.
Yeah, I was besides being the nuisance alligator trapper, I was a nuisance bear trapper. And we had one that met getting in people's garbage, messing up stuff at their house. So I set the trap. They called me, we had the bear. We went down there, and when I catch a bear, they tranquilize him, get some hair for DNA samples, pull a tooth, see how old he is, measure him, weigh him, measure how long his tail is, measure how big his feet are, and then we have to take him all the way to the National Forest to turn him loose. So Gina wanted to go with me. And this bear had been, I think it'd been shot. It had just a piece of a foot on one of his back legs, so it's had 3 feet. And we take him, and it takes 4 or 5 hours for the medicine that they put him to sleep with to make him, knock him out where we can fool with him to wear off. So we go over there and open the cage, and he's asleep. He's pick his head up, but he won't get out. So I'm poking at him, trying to get him to get out. And all of a sudden he wakes up and comes out. But he just ain't good yet, so he runs out there and falls over. But I had to run, get in the truck.
Like, are they just...
And I had the door locked.
Yeah, and she had the door locked. She jumps in and, "Oh my God," and shuts the door and locks me out. It's a good thing he wasn't after me. But
Why'd you lock the door? You think it was like, I'm about
she
to
just
open
got
the door?
in there.
I hit it with my elbow.
She's just trying to get in and get away
But
from it.
the first one I did that to, and I had to take it to the National Forest, and I knew where everything was because we used to bear hunt when it was legal. And Andy again was with me, so we go over there, and like I said, it's the first one we ever let out. That we trapped. It's only about 200 pounds, so I get out with a shotgun in one hand in case he tries to get me, and he's got a pistol. So I open the door and get ready, and thinking he's gonna come running out. Well, he don't. He finally gets up and falls out on the ground and wallers around and gets up and goes down through the woods. But we were so busy looking on this side of the road to find where they wanted me to turn him loose, and it's a wilderness area though, so I'm looking for the sign. So we get the bear, turn it loose, turn around and get in the truck, and right across the road there's a fella's bee apron full of bees. And I think, oh my God, get in the truck and leave. We just turned a nuisance bear out, and he's going to get these fella's bees. That fella's going to kill us if we don't leave. So from then on, I had to make sure there wasn't bees nowhere, which had electric fence, and it should have been bear proof, but it still didn't look good me turning him loose right there where the bees was at.
Yeah, how do bees react with bears or bears react with bees? Do they just like... Or
They,
is it like a dog? Like, you know how dogs, like, if they see a bee, they'll,
yeah.
like, try and bite it?
I thought
the
it-
bears that eat the bees
That's-
and
I
the
thought they
hive,
ate their,
they eat
like,
everything.
hives, yeah.
They eat it all.
What do bears eat?
I don't
on a
understand
daily?
why the bee don't bother them, but they're scared of the electric fence that they put around it. That don't make, to me, I'd rather get shocked than I had stung.
Yeah, me too.
But the bears, stinging them don't bother them, but shocking them does.
What's your guys' favorite thing to hunt? Like, hog, bear, alligator, deer, turkey?
All the above.
Oh, yeah.
If turkeys would gobble year round, I'd probably just hunt them because I like that. Hearing them gobble and seeing them strutting and tricking them, that's the funnest part.
Turkey hunting is my least favorite thing to do. I've never been. They're so aggravating.
They're so
they're
smart.
It's so hard to like shoot a turkey.
Yep.
It's not hard, but
You can't move.
you
can't do
have
like
to be
on TV.
still, quiet.
Yep. Gotta be quiet.
hidden.
Can't move. The mosquitoes get on you, just gotta eat you. You can't slap them.
Yeah, because I feel like in all the videos that I watch of people that are turkey hunting, they're like talking to their buddies. And
no, you can't do that to these
No, you
turkeys.
cannot. These turkeys just like, no, these turkeys see you and immediately run or like they get out of there. What about you, Dee Dee?
My favorite thing to do used to be when I could hear good, is crawl up on a turkey gobbling and shoot him.
Yep.
Instead of calling him and fooling him, I used to just crawl up there and kill him.
Yep. You do that, you can kill anything.
It's an art to crawling up on one.
Really?
But I've crawled up on a lot of them and killed them. I've called a lot too.
How do you not like move the leaves and sticks and
You
stuff?
just gotta be
Because
slow
Dee
when you're
Dee Dee's a
doing it.
professional. We already know this. He's a professional.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
One
Yeah.
thing you can do, especially a lot of times there'll be an old smart gobbler there and he won't say nothing, but the younger turkeys will sit up in the tree and just gobble and gobble because they're scared to come down. The big one to get them. And you can crawl out to that one in the tree and he's up there in the tree so he thinks he's safe. And you can't not make noise, but just crawl along there and putt and cluck like you're a turkey hen coming and he thinks that's what's coming and he'll sit up there and say, time he says, oh, that's you, bang, it's too late.
Are turkeys fast?
Very fast.
Yes.
Very
Turkeys are
fast.
small, fast, because you got to hit them in the head.
And they can see behind them.
Small, fast. They
When
can
he's
hear
flying,
everything.
if you jump one and he's flying and he's going down a row of pines and you jump over to shoot him, he'll get in the next row of pines. When you get over, he'll get in the next row of pines. So he's got to be looking back to see what you're doing.
Yeah. What about hogs? Y'all got any?
Oh yeah, I love to hunt hogs. Best way to do that is sneak around and sneak up on them. If you can get the wind in your face, you can sneak right up on them. They don't got good eyesight, so when they're rooting and they stop and look, you just be still. When they go back to rooting, then you ease on up until you get close
I feel
enough.
like hogs are like kind of dumb, but they're also like really
They're
smart.
very smart.
They're really smart, but they're also
Yeah,
like
but as long as they can't smell you and you be still when he looks, he'll usually overlook you.
Hogs and alligators can really smell.
Yep.
You've got to have the wind right or you can't get up on them.
yeah. See, I didn't know alligators could smell.
I didn't
Very
either.
good.
Very good.
Can they see? Or you just sit
Yeah,
still
they
and
can see
can't
pretty good too.
Yeah.
When we had the
So what do they not
private
do?
wetlands, we would go to the river and we had some private wetlands on both sides of the river and we'd wait till 10 o'clock in the morning when they're out sunning to get warm, ride down the river and see them. And preferably you'd go, say if it's blowing out to the south, you'd go north up the river. And when you see them, you go by them about 300 or 400 yards and get out. Then the wind would be in your face. And then you sneak up there. But the only thing wrong with that, okay, he's right by that bay tree. When you get out in the river swamp, every bay tree out there looks like the one you just seen from the river.
Yeah.
So when you go about 100 yards, you think, okay, I'm getting close. Then you got to be real quiet because they can hear
Yeah.
and real careful. So you get up there, how that looks like the trees right over there. So you ease over and look, no, go to the next one. And a lot of times we'd be doing that and I'd ease up there and look and I'd look down and I'd be about to step on his tail. Oh no. And his head's over the bank and you ease over and look. And most of the time he's laying there asleep, so you just shoot him in. But if the wind's wrong, he won't be there.
Y'all have never had some like hogs try and run y'all over and attack y'all?
Yeah. One time we was running some with it. When James was just a little old boy, he wasn't very big. And the dog was coming running this hog, and I was getting ready to catch him, because it wasn't a very big hog we were running. And about the time the hog, just before we got there, James just climbed me like a tree.
I thought I was climbing a tree. It was dark. I just was climbing. When I hear the hog coming, I was about 7 or 8 years old. When the hog come by, he couldn't catch him because I was on his back like a monkey.
Because like whenever we did our hog hunt video, that hog almost ran Papa Ham over. It was coming straight for Papa Ham. The funniest part was you can literally see
You
it
can see
in
him
the
running
camera.
straight towards
Yeah.
Papa Ham, and he is not
Yeah.
moving at all. He is just standing right there.
See how cool and collective I
Yeah,
was.
that's a good cameraman.
Yeah, very
Right.
calm and collected.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't overreact or anything.
Nah.
Now they'll get you when you're running them with dogs and baying with dogs. Tell them about you and Ronald, Dee Dee.
Yeah, me and
Frankie
my
decided to
friend
join
Ron
us.
used to hog hunt with dogs. We'd bay up a big bull hog and go in there. And Ronald didn't, he wasn't scared of him. He'd just go in there and catch him. Me, I was scared of him. We had this big bull hog baited up one time, and the dog, he was cutting the dogs, making them bleed. And the dogs were chewing on him, and I eased down in the creek. And I eased right up behind that hog, and he was standing right on the creek bank with his back legs right there. All I had to do I had my hands right on his back legs, and I couldn't make my hands close up on them legs. Cause I figured if I caught him, he was gonna roll right in the creek on me. And Ronald got so mad with me, and about the time that hog broke, it run at Ronald, and he just grabbed two limbs and snatched it up, and that hog went right between his legs. And he had teeth long as my finger, cutters. And we never did kill that hog. We called his brother, and he brought a catch dog in there. When he got in there to us, he turned that catch dog loose, and when he got there, that hog stuck him, cut him open, and stuck him right in the shoulder. And 2 days later, he died. The hog killed him.
Really?
And so we never did get that hog. He was a mean one.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, that's what
Speaking
hogs.
of pigs and hogs, Dee Dee, some odd reason, when me and Dub were younger, Dee Dee got us pigs. And they weren't like your little average pig.
They weren't like a potbelly pig.
No, they were like 600-pound like pigs. Mine's
were
name was
massive.
Rosie and Dub's was Jessie. Well, Jessie was mean.
He loved some hot dogs.
Like
He
mean.
loved some
mean.
hot dogs.
Whatever happened to those pigs? You just like let them go, or did you? Or did you just tell us
I give them
that?
to somebody.
I think so.
I think I gave them to Kelly. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think so.
Someone wanted them.
Yeah, the good
They were
Lord called
tiny,
the poor
though.
thing home after he got it.
Any snake stories?
Do what?
Snake.
Any snake incidents?
Yeah, we used to catch snakes and sell them.
Sell them? What? You would sell them?
They had a place at the beach, which is now Gulf World.
Zoo World.
Zoo World, I mean. It was named Snakebites. And he handled snakes, and he milked snakes, and he bought snakes.
Milked snakes?
Yeah, you get the poison out of them, you
Oh,
hang their fangs on a cup.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Put
a
it-
cup like this,
I
and
was
you put like
like,
plastic in
How
it.
do you milk a snake?
Yeah, that's what they called them.
And sell the venom to make animals.
And he sold it down.
Thinking
I know, you're loud.
But we would go.
like, what?
We would go down these dirt roads when it was dry weather, and there'd be a dry down that hole, and these big cottonmouth moccasins would be just laying everywhere. And we had a croaker sight and a snake catcher. We didn't catch them with our hand. But we'd
I
catch
know,
them-
good.
we'd catch them moccasins, put them in the croaker sight, and he close it up, hold it up, and there'd be fangs sticking out, poison spraying out all outside the croaker sight. And it wouldn't be hot, and I'd be just sweating.
I'd be sweating too. What'd you do? Just throw them in the bed of your truck?
You ever got bit by a snake?
No.
You've never been
Oh.
bit by a snake?
One day, a funny thing happened. One day, I was driving an old van, and me and Nanny, I had a sack full of rat snakes and king snakes
In the van
in
with
the
you?
van with us, and we was pulling out on, and she looked around, and one of them snakes that got out was coming towards her. She snatched it open and sailed out.
I would have done the same
Good thing I weren't going down the highway, because she'd have snatched it open and sailed out.
I would have done the same.
Is that where Gigi's fear for snakes came from? What was going through Nanny's head thinking that was a good idea to sit in a van with a bag of snakes, first off? Like, how did you...
Clearly, you didn't have the bag secured very tight.
Well, I thought I did, but
Which one of y'all had the moccasin swallow your big toe?
That was Pawpaw.
yeah.
Yeah, what?
My grandfather, when he was 10 or 12 years old, him and his father were fishing a brim bed, and they waded out in the lake, and he had to fish on a stringer like Dee Dee has his on the stringer.
Yeah, where all the
And
accidents
the
seem
brim
to
kept-
recur. Yeah, that...
Floating around and prickling him on the leg or on the toe, and he'd move him. He's still fishing. And it got to prickling again, and he moved his stringer, and it didn't quit prickling. So he picks his foot up and looks, and there's a 3-foot long cottonmouth had his big toe swallowed. And he said, "Daddy, look at him." And his daddy looked and squinted and said, "Is that a snake?" He said, "Yes, sir. What do I do?" He said, "Well, catch him right up tight behind the head and throw him just as far as you can throw him and come to me." So he got him and snatched him off and throwed him and run. And when the snake come after him, his daddy killed him with a cane pole. So they went home. He snake bit. This was, 1920 or 30s, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Probably didn't have snake venom nowhere close.
Yeah.
So they go home and take a kerosene and put it in a foot tub and soaked in it. Said that'll draw the poison out. And it didn't do nothing but bleed. It cut his toe, but they thought since he didn't strike him, his fangs were up in his mouth and just his teeth, his regular teeth was what cut him when he snatched him off. But that's the closest. Well,
Snakes
that's as close as we come to getting bit. But that's the only time we ever had our body part in his mouth.
I didn't know snakes had other teeth
closest
besides
he
their
ever
fangs.
comes-
Yeah, they have like little bottom teeth, don't they?
Yeah, they got sharp,
Yeah, like
teeth
they're
that's like a non-poisonous. But the
One of
fangs.
the closest times he ever come getting bit, we were deer hunting, and we come upon this big rattlesnake, about a 5-footer. And so we just catch him and throw him in the toolbox. And he said, "Now don't forget, that snake's in there." We went down the road a little ways and run through a mud hole and drowned the truck out. What does he do? Jumps out of the truck, snatches the toolbox up, reaches there and grabs WD-40. Oh my God, that snake's in there.
And I looked and he's coiled up right where I just reached at. And I just got me a limb and killed him right there. But you got to understand, we just jumped a big buck and was running down the road to get ahead of him when I caught the snake. And then I'm running to get ahead of him and I forgot about the snake.
Miracle he didn't get
Sure
bit.
is. 'Cause he was ticked off when I caught him.
I wonder why you just shoved him in a toolbox and then tried to drown him. Yeah, I'd be pretty mad if I got shut in a toolbox.
Yeah.
I don't know. Y'all have some. Yeah, like my life is not this eventful. Like, what are y'all
I don't
doing?
know what y'all.
Do y'all just not think about? Oh, well, let me just grab this rattlesnake and throw it in a toolbox. Like who is thinking to do that?
Well, I kept a pole with me with a noose on it. That's how I actually caught him.
Oh, so you just like put it around its head and
Yeah, and
tighten it?
put him in there and loosened it. And I didn't have a sack with me, so I put him in a toolbox.
Throw him in the toolbox. Why don't you just kill him?
Well,
As soon as you
we
get the
only
chance.
we got $1 more a foot if he was alive, so I killed that when he got $1 less a foot.
That's crazy. I don't know how y'all do that. Me either. Because, I really don't have a problem with snakes. It's more things that have legs.
No.
That can run after me. Which I guess a snake could, but they just be slithering along.
They're fast.
I'm fast.
Not that fast.
Yes, I am. Well, I know what I'm not ever doing again, and that's going outside with these two people because that
Yeah,
is
I'm
not
not hanging out with y'all no more
because
that
the second I can't get over the snake in the toolbox. I mean, honestly, why would you put or the alligator between Dee Dee's legs? Can't forget about that. Yeah, but we'll catch y'all on the next one.